Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into
a large number of cars, under the hood of which a turbocharged engine of high power is installed, are additionally equipped with a device called an intercooler. Car owners who have never encountered such elements are often interested in what it is, why an intercooler is needed, and what it is. Intercoolers are a rather unique development, which has become widespread among powerful turbocharged engines. In some cases, the part is installed from the factory at the production stage. Others install the device themselves. An intercooler, IC, can be characterized as an element of a turbocharged engine that allows for additional horsepower without any harm to the engine. Usually the gain is about 10 to 20 horsepower, but it can be even more. Although in this situation, some risks increase. We cannot say that the gain is significant, but there is nothing wrong with proper installation and competent operation. Why it is needed. First, you need to determine what the intercooler is and why this device in the car. The element is not necessary, but a certain benefit can be brought. If we talk about what exactly the intercooler is needed for, then the answer is cooling. The part is installed on the car so that it turns out to be an intermediate component between the cylinders and the air supply system. It is important to note that such a device as an intercooler can be installed on diesel and gasoline engines. The main condition is the presence of a turbine. Only on a turbocharged engine, the intercooler is able to show its strong qualities. Since we have already said what this element is needed for, it is necessary to make certain clarifications. The only purpose of the automotive intercooler is cooling. The element lowers the temperature of the air entering the cylinders using the principle of density increase. This allows you to raise the pressure in the cylinders and make the fuel-air mixture more enriched. On average, when equipping the power unit with such a component, it is possible to raise the initial power of the engine by 10 to 15%. If the initial engine power is high, this increase becomes noticeable and tangible. This is why cars need intercoolers. By its external characteristics, the IR resembles an ordinary car radiator, the design of which consists of spigots and special plates. To allow the device to additionally cool the incoming air, plates made of aluminum or copper are welded on the tubes. Directly in the underhood space, the IR should be placed between the compressor of the auto turbine and the intake manifold. Usually the elements are mounted in front of the engine slightly below the main radiator or directly above the power unit. There are also car models where the IR is placed on the fenders. How it works and its effect on power. Now we are interested in how exactly a car intercooler works. The increase in engine power is achieved due to the fact that the additional cooler reduces the air temperature. It drops to about 55 to 60 degrees Celsius. The change in temperature improves the quality of the air that enters the turbine, that is, the turbocharger. From this, the cylinders are better filled, and the performance of the powertrain increases. This is the purpose of the intercooler in gasoline and diesel engines. Air cooling is the purpose of the technology, which fully justifies itself. Experiments clearly prove that if the air temperature drops by at least 10 degrees, the power gain will be at least 3 to 5%. If there is no intercooler on the car or it fails, the temperature will start to rise significantly. In some cases, it can be almost 200 degrees Celsius. When superheated air is sucked in by the turbine, the amount of oxygen in it is significantly reduced. This depletes the fuel-air mixture, and the engine cannot fully deliver its power. Prolonged operation of the turbo engine in this mode will provoke the failure of many elements. Even engine jamming is not excluded. Intercoolers and their operation are also directly related to the amount of fuel the engine consumes. The better and richer the fuel-air mixture, the more efficiently it can burn. A large amount of oxygen allows less fuel to be utilized. Therefore, the intercooler contributes to fuel economy. The efficiency of such an element is determined by its ability to reduce the temperature of the motor compared to the temperature of the air surrounding the engine. Another important feature of the IR is the ability to reduce the pressure of the supercharger because the element creates additional resistance. For quality and efficient coolers, The normal rate of pressure reduction is at the level of 1 to 2 psi. Types. The device and design of the intercooler for diesel and gasoline engines can be somewhat different. And the matter is not in the type of fuel used, but in the design features and used working environments of the element itself for additional cooling. Given these characteristics, all automotive intercoolers are divided into two categories. Based on the name, it already becomes clear what the main difference between the two designs is, but they should be considered in more detail. Air devices, it is the air intercoolers that are structurally considered to be the simplest. It is a series of tubes that are connected by special plates installed in a row. The task of such an element is to pass through the tubes of air that comes from the external environment. The function of the plates is also very clear. They increase the parameters of the heat transfer area. This allows the air to have time to cool sufficiently before going to the turbocharger. Read also, opposite engines, their advantages, disadvantages, and scope of application. Automotive intercoolers of the air type are able to reduce temperature values by about 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, then supplying cooled air to the turbine. Design features and the principle of operation allow you to increase the efficiency of the motor by about 10 to 15%. This increase in power can be well felt, accelerating at least to 60 to 90 kilometers per hour. When moving in traffic at a speed of about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, the changes are imperceptible to the driver. Such devices are often called air-to-air. For their installation, 3 zones are usually used. Lateral space near the fenders of the vehicle, directly behind the front bumper. In the underhood space above the engine. Mounting behind the bumper and near the wings is considered more optimal for this type of intercooler. This is due to the fact that this location guarantees intensive air blowing. Air structures are preferred to be installed on trucks and SUVs. Among the main disadvantages are the large size and solid weight of the equipment. Water. According to efficiency indicators, water intercoolers are objectively ahead of air competitors. This is explained by the simple introduction of water into the system, which itself acts as a quality cooler. The heat absorption intensity of water is higher than that of air. In many ways an ingenious solution for its time. But the use of water in cooling is not the only difference between intercoolers. Developers managed to significantly reduce the size of the design, which allowed to occupy a minimum of space under the hood of the car without loss of efficiency. But to be fair, it should be added that additionally you will have to look for where to put the temperature sensor and pump. The efficiency has really increased, and several times over. The average temperature reduction is 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. This is how much the intercooler is able to change the air temperature before it reaches the turbocharger. But there are even more advanced models than just water-based IR. These are devices where the coolant is a special refrigerant. For this purpose, antifreezes, tow-sols, and even liquid nitrogen are used. The properties of the cooling liquids themselves allow them to approximately 2 times the heat output, if compared to the classic water devices. To create a complete image of an ideal intercooler from the water cooling element is not possible. This is due to the presence of certain disadvantages. Such parts are structurally more complex. Temperature sensors, pumps, and control units are responsible for the functioning of the IR. It is they regulate and control all processes. Because of this, the price for repair is more impressive, and the breakdowns themselves are sometimes difficult to eliminate. If you do not systematically monitor and control the temperature of the coolant, you can face serious and sudden troubles. This situation has led to the fact that the cars of the middle price segment are installed cheaper air-type intercoolers. For domestic cars and inexpensive foreign cars are available intercoolers at a price of about 10,000 rubles. For expensive foreign cars, models costing from 50,000 rubles and more are installed. This is not the limit, as there are special coolers fitted to sports cars. These are mostly special projects designed for racing. Their special intercoolers are called custom intercoolers. The difference between standard models is that the cooling process is carried out through the use of special fluids and ice. How to choose? Some people think about replacing the standard IR, which went from the factory on the car. But there are also those who think about the possibility of removing the intercooler and not using it at all. These coolers belong to additional elements, so without the intercooler, the engine will also be able to work normally. If you remove this component, You can get rid of 10 to 30 kilograms of extra weight on average. Plus, the space under the hood will be freed. But there is one important remark. If the intercooler was provided by the automaker, that is, you did not install it additionally, and in such a form the car came off the conveyor, it is not recommended to remove the IR. Having dismantled the factory part, albeit an additional one, you can start the process of accelerated wear of the power plant. This is due to the impact on the motor of high temperatures, from which the cooler saves. The power will also drop, which many drivers will definitely not like. If, however, you are not satisfied with the factory air cooling element and want to replace it with a new one, there are some basic selection criteria. Heat exchanger. Of interest is its area. From the size of the plates and tubes directly depends on the cooling efficiency. On sale, you can meet a lot of very compact devices, the size of which is comparable to a notebook or a book. But there is a high probability that their installation will not bring any benefit. Such an intercooler is not capable of adding much power. Choose larger designs, but with the expectation that there is enough space under the hood to accommodate them. Internal cross-section of tubes. Too small a size does not allow air to flow freely through the entire structure. For effective intercoolers, this is unacceptable. Plates. Pay attention to how thick the plates on the heat exchanger are. Cooler performance is a function of area, not thickness. If you see thick-walled metal, then you should not count on high efficiency. The extra thickness only adds weight to the machine, but it has no effect on performance. The shape of the tubes used. Specialists and experienced motorists advise to choose designs where the tubes have a conical shape and are characterized by a large radius of bends. Connection of the tubes. An important criterion for any intercooler, but especially a water intercooler. If the connection turns out to be of poor quality, after a short time after the start of operation, the cooling liquid will simply begin to flow out. Read also, what is a plunger and what are its differences compared to a piston? It is never superfluous to consult with experts beforehand. If a good enough intercooler was installed on the car, but it failed and requires replacement, you can pick up a similar model with similar characteristics. Causes of breakdowns. In practice, it is seen that modern automobile intercoolers do not need constant monitoring of their condition. Cars with an additional cooler do not differ much from conventional cars in terms of providing special care, but it is still recommended to periodically inspect and diagnose the condition of the structure. Otherwise, you may encounter sudden breakdowns. In the case of air coolers and water coolers, there are several basic breakdowns possible. Ruptures occurring at the pipe connections or heat exchanger. This is caused by increased pressure. This fault can be detected by a sudden drop in power and increased fuel consumption. If the spigots broke from the pressure, it is not worth trying to repair them. A new pressure surge will break them again. It will be necessary to change the spigots. Oil. There are situations when oil gets inside the cooler. With normal operation of the intercooler is nothing terrible if there is a small amount of engine grease. It is allowed no more than 1 liter per 10,000 kilometers. If the oil comes in larger quantities, the intercooler will need repair. Cracks. They are formed on the plates and tubes. A relevant problem for additional coolers installed in the area of the wings of the car. There they are subjected to serious mechanical stresses that lead to deformations. Clogging. Tubes can gradually clog. This mainly occurs during the winter period of vehicle operation. The cause is different chemicals and sand, with the help of which melt ice on the roads. It is recommended to remove dirt from the intercooler more frequently at this time. Some people practice self-repair, although many do not recommend it. The design seems simple, but the wrong approach to the problem can only aggravate the situation. It is allowed to fix only minor breakdowns on your own. If it is necessary to replace the element, contact good and proven masters. Advantages and disadvantages. To summarize, you can emphasize the main strengths and weaknesses of such additional engine elements as intercoolers. To the objective advantages of these devices can be attributed: increase in power, reducing the amount of fuel consumed, improving the environmental performance of the engine. For such advantages, many are willing to sacrifice some disadvantages. Intercoolers do have weaknesses, and they consist in the following. The main disadvantage is considered to be the formation of an obstacle to the passage of air. This already depends on the way of installation and placement of the structure. The phenomenon in the form of interference is irreversible, since the intercooler is designed to cool airflows. Such a nuance leads to the fact that the pressure drops in the supercharger. In order for the turbine to work properly, part of the energy has to be spent almost in vain. But modern developers are aware of this disadvantage because they are trying in every possible way to minimize it. Appearance. Not everyone likes the protrusion that creates an intercooler on the hood of the car. Massiveness. Not all cars can boast a solid free space under the hood. If you put a cooler there, there will be no space left at all. This complicates access to some parts. Exposure to contamination. Relevant for structures that are mounted in the nose of the car and on the sides on the fenders. In the intercooler begin to fly small stones, miscellaneous debris from the road, chemicals, and sand during winter treatment of the road surface. All of this leads to accelerated wear and repairs. Expensive to repair and maintain. The part itself is not the cheapest, and its repair costs a considerable amount of money. But this is a relative disadvantage, because for many drivers it will not be a problem to give a few thousand rubles for the replacement of spigots or other repair and maintenance work. The final conclusions and decision regarding the installation of an intercooler on the car each motorist must do and take individually. Everything depends on the specific situation and circumstances. For some drivers, IR becomes an indispensable assistant. Others do not use even 50% of the potential of the installed intercooler. And then it is logical to ask why to install it at all. The engine, and without additional cooling, will perfectly cope with such loads. In conclusion, understanding what a car intercooler is and how it functions is essential for anyone looking to enhance their vehicle's performance. By cooling the air entering the engine, an intercooler helps improve efficiency and power output, making it a vital component for turbocharged and supercharged engines. Whether you're a car enthusiast or simply looking to optimize your vehicle, investing in a quality intercooler can lead to significant improvements in performance and longevity. Remember, a cooler intake means a more powerful engine, so consider the benefits of this crucial component in your automotive journey. Thank you for watching, and drive safe.